2026 hasn't arrived yet, but one thing is already clear. The industry is gearing up for one of the most explosive release years in recent memory. And the conversation has to start with the game surrounded by the densest fog of anticipation: Grand Theft Auto 6. This isn't just another title. It's Rockstar's biggest and most expensive project ever. Its production is estimated at several $billion, making GTA 6 the costliest entertainment product in gaming history. For the first time in the series, the game introduces a female protagonist and builds the dynamic between the two leads in the spirit of the iconic criminal duo Bonnie and Clyde. Players are returning to the legendary Vice City, now rebuilt with revolutionary visuals, revamped physics, and a level of environmental detail already being called a new standard for open worlds. An in-game social network, the ability to post photos and videos, dozens of animal species, some of which can be tamed. These aren't rumors, but confirmed gameplay elements from reliable insiders. Special attention is given to police AI. Officers will memorize license plates, record criminal activity, and adapt their behavior based on your actions. Lighting has been completely overhauled, and the physics system can simulate even the movement of liquid inside a bottle. Large-scale heists will become deeper and more complex, while destructive weather events seamlessly integrate into the city's ecosystem. GTA 6 is already being called the franchise's biggest evolutionary leap, and in 2026 we'll finally learn where speculation ends and true innovation begins. Next up is one of the most mysterious and simultaneously most talked about projects in recent years: OD from Hideo Kojima. The game designer is once again doing what he does best: creating something almost no one understands, yet everyone desperately wants. According to official information, OD is built on Microsoft's cloud technologies, allowing the game to simulate horror elements and character behavior in real time. Kojima claims he intends to break the barrier between the player and the game, and create a new subgenre of horror that frightens not with jump scares, but with psychological pressure. The first trailer shows familiar Hollywood faces, a Geiger counter, MRI-like ambient noise, and cryptic lines that defy explanation. Pure Kojima abstraction. The story is kept under absolute secrecy, but it's known that OD experiments with voice emotion recognition technology. In other words, the game will be able to react to your emotional state. If Kojima delivers on his promises, this could become the most technologically advanced horror experience of the decade. But the industry isn't powered by experiments alone. In 2026, Marvel finally releases a full-scale action game centered on Wolverine. The project is being developed by Insomniac Games, the same studio that brought us the modern Spider-Man titles. Notably, Wolverine will not feature an open world. Unlike the Spider-Man games, the focus is on tightly built levels, cinematic set pieces, and brutal combat with a high age rating. There will be plenty of blood. The developers have confirmed that. Rumors suggest Peter Parker and Miles Morales may appear as cameos, but nothing has been officially verified. Wolverine aims to become the new benchmark for next-generation superhero action. Minimal empty space, maximum intensity, speed, and signature adamantium fury. Now we move into the world of strategy games, where one project has reignited the nostalgic spark of millions. This is Heroes of Might and Magic, Olden Era, a fresh attempt to restore the exact magic of heroes that kept fans glued to their screens for decades. The game is developed by Unfrozen, with the most notable detail being that the core team is Russian-speaking. People who deeply understand what true heroes should feel like. The demo has already stirred heated discussions. Yes, the visual style is more minimalist and closer to mobile aesthetics, and some macro systems were simplified. But the essence, strategic depth and classic gameplay, remains intact. New factions were added, quality of life systems improved, and several controversial mechanics reworked. The result feels like an honest, respectful effort to breathe new life into a classic without resorting to cheap imitation. The next project hits even deeper for anyone who lived through the golden RPG era of the 90s. A full remake of Gothic. The original Gothic set the tone for gritty European RPGs. Dangerous forests, harsh dialogue, brutal faction politics, and life under a magical barrier. Now it returns with modern technology. The new visual style is powered by Unreal Engine, but the developers promise something sacred: to preserve the atmosphere and spirit of the original. This isn't a reinvention for the sake of reinvention. It's a modernization of a world that, for many, define their youth. Meanwhile, another studio is breaking patterns entirely. FromSoftware, led by Hidetaka Miyazaki. Their new project is a vampire-themed PvPvE action title with a Victorian aesthetic. Part battle royale, part hardcore action arena, and fully exclusive to PlayStation 5. Yes, fans still beg for a Bloodborne remaster, but Miyazaki clearly wants to step outside the familiar Souls formulas. The team is tired of repeating the same structural loop and has chosen to take a risk. Heavy verticality, unusual hunting mechanics, and a strong focus on multiplayer. This is a deliberate push into experimentation. Some players won't like it, but the industry needs projects that challenge the status quo. Tactics fans won't go hungry in 2026 either. The creators of Battle Brothers are preparing the sci-fi strategy game M.E.S.S, which transfers their signature philosophy, every death is a lesson, into a distant interplanetary future. Instead of flat 2D battlefields, we now get full isometric combat in the spirit of XCOM, and instead of medieval mercenaries, mechanized operatives fighting for the favor of competing factions. Every mission risks the loss of veterans, gear, or political standing. Map generation is deeper, decision-making far more varied, and diplomacy harsher than ever. With the studio's experience, M.E.S.S is shaping up to deliver the kind of replayability that will swallow Battle Brothers fans for hundreds of hours. Meanwhile, Resident Evil returns to the very roots of the franchise. The new entry, Requiem, takes us back to the ruins of Raccoon City 30 years after the original outbreak. The protagonist, FBI analyst Grace Ashcroft, is far more connected to past events than she initially appears. The game features a classic unstoppable pursuer, a reworked navigation system, and even full vehicle traversal through the devastated city. Most importantly, Requiem promises to close numerous narrative threads stretching all the way back to the 90s. And yes, Leon Kennedy returns in a major role, guiding Grace and pulling her out of yet another circle of hell. The trailer makes it clear, this installment focuses on atmosphere and tension, not mindless action. On the other end of the industry, one of Russia's strangest and most profound games is coming back to life. Pathologic 2. The Coming Sea is not just a sequel, but a philosophical reinterpretation of its core ideas. St. Petersburg's studio Ice Pick Lodge introduces a time manipulation mechanic, a powerful tool with brutal consequences. Poor use will shatter balance, trigger cascading failures, and eventually lead to total game over. The atmosphere remains unmistakable. Despair, theatricality, a dying town crushed by an epidemic, and a protagonist forced to balance morality, scarce resources, and crushing responsibility. The new chapter aims to be even harsher and more intellectually demanding, a gift for players who want a game to break both their mind and their soul. 2026 will also deliver a heavy dose of Eastern hardcore. Nioh 3 expands the series' formula with a dual-style system that lets the protagonist switch between a heavy samurai stance and a stealth-infused ninja mode. There isn't much pure stealth, but the Shinobi toolkit transforms the familiar Souls-like combat into something far more flexible. The world is larger, exploration deeper, and the demo already confirmed that this will be the biggest entry in the franchise. The developers promise more bosses, more weapons, and far more build variety than ever before. On the opposite end of the genre map lies Hexe, Ubisoft's new dark fantasy experiment. The game takes us to 15th century Europe, the peak of the witch hunts. According to leaks, the protagonist possesses supernatural abilities, including the power to inhabit animals. If Ubisoft truly shifts away from massive open worlds in favor of tighter, more atmospheric locations, as in the earliest Assassin's Creed titles, Hexe could become the bleakest and most immersive chapter the series has seen in years. Meanwhile, Edmund McMillen, creator of Super Meat Boy and The Binding of Isaac, is preparing his most ambitious work yet, Meowgenics. It's a genetic battler about hundreds of cats, each born with unique traits. The game features over 1,000 genetic perks and nearly as many items. Players will breed new feline fighters, unleash them in chaotic battles, and watch RNG destroy every plan again and again. If Isaac felt endless, Meowgenics aims to push replayability to a completely new level. And now, the big one. Gears of War, E-Day, a prequel to the main series, tells the story of the day the Locust first erupted from the underground. At the center is a young Marcus Phoenix, not yet a legend, but a soldier trying to survive pure chaos. The developers promise a darker tone, a return to the brutal structure of the early games, and a fresh perspective on the war's beginning. The Unreal Engine 5 visuals are already staggering. A single trailer blew up YouTube. Finally, one of the most anticipated immersive sims in years. Judas, from BioShock creator Ken Levine. The game is already being compared to a Nemesis-style system where enemies remember your actions, react to betrayals, shift alliances, and can plunge the entire Ark ship into chaos. Every decision triggers a chain of consequences. Visually, it echoes BioShock, but structurally it aims to be far more nonlinear and far more volatile. 2026 is shaping up to be a year where every major release feels like an event.